Is it really possible to guarantee that your desires are going to manifest every single time? Yes, it is, and I am going to share the secret to knowing that your desires will definitely manifest. If you have been struggling to manifest and you just don't think that manifestation is working for you, then you need to hear this. The reason why most people are struggling to manifest what they want is because they don't actually realize how manifestation actually works. Most people think if they just follow these videos and do these manifestation techniques and try hard enough and say their affirmations enough times, then the universe will reward them and give them their manifestation. So if people haven't received their manifestations yet, they tend to just assume that either the technique that they're using is the wrong technique, the technique doesn't work, or maybe they've just not used the technique enough times yet. But if you truly understood how manifestation actually works, you'd never question it again. This is how manifestation actually works. You are one with everything else in the world. Everything is one. Everything is God. You are one with God and with everybody else. However, your human self is limited, but you do have direct connection to God through your imagination. As a human, you have been given specific desires that are unique to you, and these desires come straight from God. You are supposed to have these desires. These desires are actually promises. If you start to think of your desires as promises, you won't ever question them again. You won't ever believe that you're not supposed to have your desires. You won't ever believe that you're not good enough. You won't ever believe that you don't have what it takes, and you won't have the strength or the courage to do what it takes to fulfill your desires, because you know that these are promises. It's what you're supposed to be doing with your life. And the reason why we are here as humans in the first place is simply to experience this life and experience this existence. And the way in which we enjoy this experience is that we have something to work towards. We have a purpose to work towards. We have desires to fulfill, and that gives us purpose. It gives our life meaning and gives us something to strive towards, to look forward to get excited about. And if we knew exactly when our desires were going to manifest, that would take away the whole fun and the whole point of life itself. So although we know that our desires are going to manifest, we don't know when they are going to manifest, and we don't know specifically how they are going to show up, what it's going to look like in our physical reality when they actually show up. But because we know that our desires are promises and they are supposed to happen, they are going to happen, it means we can relax about them and stop worrying when they're going to happen, because we know that they are going to happen. And not only do we get the promise that our desires are going to appear in our physical reality, we actually get to experience our desires right now. We don't have to wait, because we can experience our desires in our imagination. Our physical reality is just based on our 5 senses. We only know that it's physical because we can see it, we can hear it, we can touch it, smell it, taste it. But we can actually imagine all of the 5 senses in our imagination. So we can make our imagination just as real as our physical reality, so you can experience it right now. And when you truly believe that your desires are on their way to you in the physical reality, you will want to start mentally rehearsing for them in your imagination. You will want to experience them right now. You will be compelled to experience something right now. If I told you that tomorrow you are going to win the lottery and it's guaranteed, I've sent off the money, it's definitely coming, you would immediately get to work in your imagination and you would experience the thrill of feeling like you had won all of this money. You would feel how it feels to receive the money, and you would think about what are you going to spend the money on and how your life is going to change. You can't help yourself. If you know something is physically coming, you start to rehearse in your mind and you start to create memories of it happening before it's actually happened. And that's why when you plan to go on day trips and you have really fun days planned or fun vacations, and you get to work immediately imagining how it's going to be and that you're really going to enjoy it, and most of the time you do really enjoy it because you've mentally rehearsed for it in your imagination. So the only thing you truly have to believe is that it is coming, and then you will be compelled to start imagining it in your mind and bringing the details of it and the feelings of actually having it in your imagination. And whenever you can feel your desires to be real in your imagination on a repeated basis, this is when it is guaranteed to manifest. So you don't have to worry if you imagine something once, it probably won't happen. Sometimes it can, but most of the time it's only the things that you imagine on a repeated basis, especially when you have to step into a new state and become a different kind of person, when something's going to have a radical impact on your life. That is when you need to mentally rehearse for it and repeat it over and over again multiple times. So now that you've rehearsed the scene over and over again in your mind, you know that you can cope with your imagination, that whatever your physical reality brings towards you, when it brings your manifestation to you, you won't run and hide, you won't freak out, because it will be normal, because you've been here before, you've already created it, it already exists, you've created it in your imagination. And this is all based on the law of assumption. The law of assumption states that whatever you assume to be true will manifest. So it doesn't matter whether you use techniques or you don't use techniques. It's only your assumptions that are actually manifesting what you want to manifest. Don't ever think that it is the technique that is magic. It's not the technique, it's just your assumption. And you can assume that a technique is going to work, or you can go beyond it. And I encourage you to go beyond the technique and see the technique for what it really is, that it's just something, it's just a tool that helps you to use your imagination. That's all it is. It just helps you to connect to your imagination. So go beyond the tool, go beyond the technique, and remember that it's just your imagination, your assumptions in your imagination that manifest anything. I used to physically force my manifestations to show up. I knew they were mine. I knew I desired them. I knew they were going to happen, but I was physically forcing them to happen because I was impatient. I didn't want to wait. I wanted them now. I was so desperate. I was so miserable in my current reality. I was constantly asking other people, when is it going to show up? Where is it? How can we make this happen? How can we speed this up? I want this now. What can we do to get it now? And then finally, I learned to go within. I learned to create the reality that I wanted in my imagination, and I replayed my perfect life over and over again in my imagination, and I wrote it out in my journal over and over again. And when I felt like I was unhappy with my current reality, I retreated into my imagination and I experienced it, and I could experience it to the full, and I really enjoyed that experience. And then because I knew that I had access to my dream life in my imagination whenever I wanted, and I believed that it was going to happen in my physical reality, I was then able to relax and enjoy my current life and stop worrying and stop seeing my life as miserable and make every second count. So how do you manifest what you want using the law of assumption? What I encourage you to do is think about an event in the future that would take place if you were to have your desire, if you were to obtain your desire, and then create a memory of that now. And I call these reverse memories because the memories are created before the event has actually occurred. in reverse, and then replay that scene over and over again in your imagination before you go to sleep and when you wake up in the morning. Then throughout the day, use brain stamps when your brain is idle and it's much more likely to tell you something negative that you don't want to hear. You are going to just use that time to declare what you actually want to be true. Declare something very simple, very easy to remember over and over again, such as, thank you for my dream life. Thank you for my dream life. Thank you for my dream life, over and over again. So here's some mistakes to avoid. And these are the things that are actually going to block your manifestations. Stop asking people where your manifestation is. Stop asking people when your manifestation is going to show up. And stop telling people that your manifestation isn't working, because when you say any of those things, and I know it's really hard, I've been there myself, you really want somebody to sympathize with you, how hard things are, how much you're struggling. But if you believe that everything that you need is within inside yourself, you don't need to go to somebody else. Nobody else controls your reality unless you give them the control. So don't give anybody the control over your reality. Just know your own reality in your own mind and don't bring other people physically into it. And you might be saying to me, well, I've tried this before. I've done visualization. I felt it to be real. I've done it numerous times and I still don't believe that my manifestation is going to show up. And what I would say to you is, don't worry if you have doubts that your manifestation is going to show up. It is completely normal. If you know it to be true because you've experienced it multiple times in your imagination, then it will come to pass. I have another video called How to Manifest When You Don't Believe It, so go and check that out because that will answer that question. And I have another video called How I Manifested My Dream Life if you want to see in detail how I went about manifesting my own dream life. Do you believe manifestation can always work for you? Leave your answer in the comments below. And if you want to manifest fame, fortune or followers, I have a free gift, a manifestation board pack for you below that will help you manifest those. And now it's your turn to go and put your stamp on the world.